I'd like just to ask, out of this group that's here today, raise your hands if you took part in our Right to Education campaign last year. Just raise your hands really high. Okay. All right. So we've got to thank you. And thank you for all you did for that campaign. Gabriel's going to talk to you in a moment about that, bring you up to date. But that means we've got a lot of veterans in the room as well. And we're going to take that campaign from Chad and we're going to bring it home. First of all, though, Gabriel Starring, we're honored to have him here today. He's going to tell us about what was accomplished last year in a far, far place away. And you really reached out far away. We're going to do something different this year. We're going to bring it home and make it very personal. We're going to look at the schools in our state, in our city, and your own schools. And we're going to ask the question, are the rights to education being violated in your own schools or by the schools of your peers here in Los Angeles and California? And we have a very special speaker with us today, Brooks Allen, who I'm afraid is going to give us some bad news on the answer to that question. But I know that the Student Task Force can respond, and we're going to use today to figure out how we can address these violations of the right to education. And again, this is really up close and personal. We've dealt with things very often that are sort of far away, and it's different when it's personal, I think. And so I'm really interested to see the kinds of ideas you come up with today in your breakout groups. After Brooks speaks with you today, we will divide into breakout groups. We've got some outstanding student leaders who are going to lead those groups, and you'll get more instructions about that from Nancy Medina. And then we will have lunchtime, which we want you to eat, but we want you to also continue to meet each other and find out what you're doing, find out from the Fulbright scholars what their thoughts are about education in their home countries, because I think we have a lot to learn from everyone that's in this room, and it's a special treat that we have, a special privilege that we have the Fulbright scholars with us today. As part of this prep, because this is preparation for the year, and we have tools that we've given you, and one of the tools you have is actually a set of tools, and that's the folder that some of you received, a 3-ring binder. Those are the Student Task Force teachers and students, and the rest of you received a folder. But I'd like to thank Kristen Gazarians, our wonderful new project liaison, and Bruce Cook, who were up very late last night putting these things together. I know because they called me really, kind of late. So, I was working on something else, but they were really sweating it out at the Human Rights Watch office. And Kristen, could you just quickly tell us about just a few highlights and treasures that we want everybody to use?
Of course. I actually didn't get to introduce myself earlier, but I was just introduced, so that's not a problem. In your binders, and for all of our Fulbrights and guest speakers, or guests as well, you have copies of everything our students and teachers have. You'll notice that you've got an agenda. The first section of the binders, though, is documents that actually Brooks Allen sent to us. It's some of the most important information from the ACLU that he will go over in his discussion later. The second section is some of the STF or Human Rights Watch produced documents for you to use throughout the campaign this year. It's going to be very important that you learn this information and that we all work together to make sure this campaign is a success. And the last section is mostly for our students and teachers. It is some agenda planning, some event planning, some examples of how to use these types of documents to make your meetings the best possible meetings that they can be. Help you plan and help you make this year one of the best ever, okay?
Thank you. So we hope to see these notebooks turn up at meetings as you keep copious notes and collect new materials and share it with each other. So a lot of things we do are online with emails and our weekly messages that we send out to you, but we hope that you're going to be collecting information too and feeding it into us and sharing it. After lunch today, we're going to have an opportunity to really practice how we're going to recruit and project the mission of STF and also our campaign this year.